Recording in progress. I call to order the Adrian City Commission special meeting for August 10th, 2026. If everyone would please rise for a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mayor Heath,
Present.
Commissioner Roberts,
Present.
Commissioner Zeit,
Present.
Commissioner Banky, Commissioner Moore,
Present.
Commissioner Schwartz,
Present.
Commissioner Cheshire.
Present.
All commission members present with the exception of Commissioner Banky.
May I get a motion to excuse Commissioner Banky?
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion from Commissioner Zeik with a second from Commissioner Cheshire. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Zeit,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore,
Yes.
Commissioner Schwartz,
Yes.
Commissioner Cheshire,
Yes.
Mayor Heath.
Yes.
Motion carried.
May I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion from Commissioner Roberts with a second from Commissioner Cheshire. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Zeit,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore,
I have a question with this. I like to have the note by rule, commissioners may not respond to public comment. Since this is an open meeting, we may want a dialogue. I'd like to remove that from the agenda.
You mean because of the, like to respond back to public comment? That is something, I don't know about that. Our city attorney, acting city attorney for tonight, Fred Lucas, is on. Can we take that off or no, Fred?
So the question was whether or not you could engage in a discussion with members of the public?
During public comment, because right now it says, note that by rule, commissioners may not respond to public comment.
Well, I would tell you that as a general rule, I don't like to vary from that, but obviously you as the commission can vary that rule anytime that you want. Now, it may well be that rather than that, you may want to have you may want to just say there's a question and answer period during the course of your meeting and leave the public comment period exactly as it is. But if that's the desire of the commission, that there's nothing that would prevent the commission from doing that.
And I know that one reason that it's not that may not, like we're not allowed to, it's may not, like they might not, kind of that was my understanding. But also the reason I know, Commissioner Moore, that was put there is because some people are waiting for a response. They use up their time, and we want them to make sure they have their full 3 minutes and that we're not taking up part of their 3 minutes. Does that make sense? But so we could respond after their 3 minutes.
That's fine.
But we don't want to take up their 3 minutes.
Whether making comments or discussion, we're looking for a temporary, it should be a two-way street, I think.
Mm-hmm. Do we need to take that off the agenda, though, as we're approving the agenda, Fred? You're muted, Fred. You're muted.
I would not take that off the agenda. My concern is because you do not have a full commission there, I don't think that you can vary the agenda at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Now, mind you, I don't keep someone, if you guys decide that you want to talk to, respond to these things, but I would not change the agenda itself per se.
Thank you.
Okay, but I will maybe plan it.
Yeah, you could, yeah.
Yes.
So okay, yeah, sorry.
Commissioner Moore,
Yes.
Commissioner Schwartz,
Yes.
Commissioner Cheshire,
Yes.
Mayor Heath,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts.
Yes.
Motion carried.
At this time, we will have public comment regarding items on the agenda. There's one item on the agenda, so if you want to approach the microphone and speak to us, you may. Just to reiterate, there is a 3-minute time limit, and for the record, please state your name and place of residence. But this is only regarding this item on the agenda. When we have exhausted all public comment inside the chambers, we will then open it up to the Zoom participants. We will begin inside the city chambers now.
Hello, thank you for this opportunity. My name is Michelle Taylor. I live in Adrian. I would like to respond by saying, just respect to Binky, but there is a conflict of interest stemming from the time when he was worked with the school, and the current issue now with 726 Elm Street in that school that was torn down. He's the one that extended that property to the individual that bought it. So right now there's a standing issue, and there's also a couple other matters at play where it's a conflict of interest. Also, with all due respect, he's absolutely not qualified. Right now we have William Sadler in place. I understand that he does want to go back to his water director position, but he is qualified. At this time, this position calls for somebody that does have a civic engineering and CPA background. Criteria pretty much Binky does not have. And again, there is a substantial conflict of interest in a couple different areas, and also he had support with Greg Elliott. That is problematic. There's standing issues that needs to be addressed today. In the last 18 months, there was a lot of activity. So when that comes to light, we can't have an acting administrator who is in a position of being compromised or a conflict of interest. Thank you.
Hello, it's been a while. Nicole Hernandez, City of Adrian. When taxpayers' money is spent to conduct a professional search and the resulting candidates are rejected, the answer should not be simply to continue improvising. Tonight we're here to discuss the possibility of an elected city commissioner leaving his seat to become the interim city administrator. I don't believe that this is the right solution. This isn't about whether the individual is capable or qualified. It's about the role the voters elected him to perform. The city commissioner is elected by the people to represent them, make policy, exercise oversight, and hold the administration responsible. The voters chose this commissioner to represent them. They did not elect him to become interim city administrator. If he resigns from his elected position to accept an administrative interim position, the public loses one of its representatives that they actually chose in order to solve a hiring problem that has been unable to be resolved. I think that's particularly difficult to justify to taxpayers. I think it's particularly difficult to justify after taxpayers already spent nearly $20K obtaining professionally recruited and vetted candidates for this exact job. So my message is simple tonight. Bob asked the voters to entrust him with an elected seat. They did. Abandoning that seat, voters entrusted him just so that he could take an appointed position as city interim administrator that this commission has repeatedly failed to fill. Not only is it a disservice to the voters who elected him, but it's also not the proper solution to this problem. We have candidates. They've been vetted. You paid taxpayers' money of $20,000. Twice did they vet these candidates. It's not right to pull an elected position or even give them the opportunity to take this position without providing another election so the voters can choose who gets that seat and it doesn't end up like another seat when Mary Roberts first got her seat. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Don Taylor, and a resident of Adrian for 29 years. I think most of us would agree that the City Commission is responsible for establishing the policies for the City of Adrian. Also, hiring a city administrator, making sure that he or she fulfills their duties in line with the policies you establish. I would suggest that most of you who work with one or more city administrators have a good sense of what qualities that person should have. I find it interesting that you reach out to the citizens of Adrian, of which more of them are here, to see what they want in the newest city administrator or an interim city administrator. I would think that throughout this lengthy process, you hired an administrator, then you hired an interim administrator, then you tried to hire another full-time administrator, now you're trying to hire another interim administrator. I would think that by now, you should have lots of input from citizens. Or you should know in your own minds what you want, what qualities you want. But you've called a special meeting, so hopefully you get good input, and what you get, I hope you take it and keep that into your consideration when hiring a new interim administrator. I followed the activities, your activities, over the last several meetings, and I find that you have wasted time on trivial matters, done nothing but disagree on those important matters that affect the effectiveness of the city. You often seem to be going in different directions. Maybe I'm the only one who sees that. I'm appalled you don't have a consensus of where you should be going. And you don't have a viable strategic plan, and that's really disappointing. I might go so far as to say the commission is broken right now, and you lack effective leadership. Now, we're all saddened by the closing of Siena Heights University, but I want to talk about something that Siena was built on. Siena wanted its students, faculty, and staff to be competent, purposeful, and ethical, plain and simple. Look for that in a new leader. I realize that's a broad mandate, but I suspect that most of what people tell you they want to see in a new administrator will fall into one of those general qualities. I don't believe having a sitting city commissioner become the interim administrator is a proper thing to do. And I've told them that. I believe the options your HR director gave you make sense to me and many people I've talked to. In fact, that was an outstanding presentation she did last Monday. You should follow those options, looking at possible candidates out there willing to serve with the experience and qualifications you want. There's no need to rush this. In your comments at the last meeting about the interim administrator wanting to, quote, get out of here, or words to that effect, were not very supportive of the process. I know he has a full plate. If he's overworked, find him some help. If I ruffled some feathers tonight, I'm sorry. I meant to.
Hi, Becky Bovian, downtown. I really think you guys need to look at the first applicants. I know you vetted something out to pull things, but I really think you guys need to take the time and look at each and every one of them. I think there's like 85 applicants, but it's your job to find those people. And I think someone's been overlooked. I truly do. So give them a chance. That's how I feel. Thank you.
Hearing no more public comment inside the chambers, we will now open it up to the Zoom participants regarding the item on the agenda.
I'd like to say something, if I may.
Yes, you just need to state your name and place of residence, and then you can begin.
Kim Nebel, City of Adrian. And I just wanted to thank you all for I think you're doing a terrific job. Having 3 brand new commission members in a short period of time, I'm amazed at how much you've gotten done and how much time you devote to the city, and I want to thank you for that. And I think that having Commissioner Banky fill this interim temporary position is a great idea if he does not have to vacate his commissioner seat in order to do so. It's clear to me that collectively the city of Adrian elected him to the highest position in this city, a commissioner, other than the mayor. I'm not sure if the mayor's higher, but anyway, it's a higher position than the city administrator. So collectively, the 20,000 of us put our trust in him, saying that we think he can do this job. And if he wants to do it, you know, God bless him for it. We need him. We need a competent administrator in this position that knows everything that the city's dealing with, that isn't going to have a long learning curve. And because I think highly of him, I do not want to lose him as a commissioner. I think that having an empty commissioner seat is not a good thing, and that's my only reservation. But I would entrust any one of the commissioners before us with that position, because there's a handful of people speaking here tonight, what, 3, 4, 5, but there's 20,000 population in the city of Adrian, and you know, he's got our vote. So I hope that you will seriously consider him. And as far as you've devoted a tremendous amount of time trying to carefully select someone for this position, and I thank you for being willing to give that much of your time to the city. Thank you. That's all.
I'm just giving it a couple seconds here because people have been having a hard time getting in sometimes quickly enough.
Hi, Carrie Smith, City of Adrian.
Go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
I wasn't going to say anything, and it's just been a little frustrating with this whole process, and I feel like the citizens again are being tasked with doing the job of the commission. When we look back at point of sale, we had an administration issue and an enforcement issue when it came to dealing with blight. So then it was put on homeowners to fix blight and buyers to fix it at the point of the transaction, instead of holding people in those departments accountable. We're now being tasked to tell the commission what qualities we should be looking for in an administrator. We have a city charter that outlines the roles of the city administrator, their duties. We had a search firm that we paid a big chunk of money to help outline what qualities we're looking for, qualifications. Why are we having this conversation now? Why have we not already had in mind what kind of person that we're looking for? We certainly appreciate the opportunity to give input, but again, it feels like it's being handed off to us to make a decision. We're electing the people sitting in those seats to make decisions on behalf of the 20,000 residents that live here, not just City Hall employees, not just on behalf of other commissioners. And we really would like you to do that. We need you to partner with the HR person that we are paying to set up job responsibilities, duties, update the handbook, and that those qualities can be formed with her as part of a search. And I consider Bob a friend, and I have the utmost respect for Bob Benke, but I agree with Nicole. He was elected to be a commissioner. It's going to open up a seat, And then I don't trust this commission to appoint someone to fill his seat that will move us any further than we already are. Also, I'm still waiting to see where we're going to go from the town hall we had on the water. And I think this is just more of that. We're wasting time. This isn't a necessary meeting.
Hearing no more public comment, we're going to move on to discussion items. Before we begin the interim administrator position discussion, Fred Lucas, I'll probably ask you to weigh in. But I was contacted by our city attorney just a few hours prior to this meeting, just to clarify that a special meeting we're not allowed to veer. I know Fred already alluded to it, but we're not allowed to veer off of this agenda. So it's going to be a discussion, the interim administrator position, but there cannot be like a resolution or a motion tonight for that reasoning. The only time that is allowed, Fred, interrupt if I'm saying this wrong, but the only time that's allowed is if we do have the full commission here and it's all approved from the full commission to move forward with a resolution. So since we don't have the full commission and it is a special meeting, I know in regular meetings, a motion can be made, even from a discussion item, but not tonight. Is that correct, Fred? Did I say that correctly?
You did say it correctly. The reason for that is because under the Open Meetings Act, when a special meeting is called, you cannot deviate from the agenda unless there is the entire commission that is present. Since you are missing a commission member tonight, it would be improper to amend or deviate from the agenda that was provided.
Thank you. Anybody can go ahead. I was requested by a city commissioner that I not go first from here on out, that it's good for the city commission to speak first, and so I'm honoring those wishes, and I'm going to go last.
Madam Mayor, I think it's your job to go first, but if you don't want to, I understand. My position is that we have a commissioner that's wanting to become the acting city administrator interim. I don't know what we call it this time. But I also know that we have a human resources person who has the capabilities to go out and search and bring back candidates. So my proposal would be that we look for candidates, we bring back an interview, we bring back 2 interviews, not just one like we've done before, but 2 interviews. From that process, we find whether it's an interim or a full-time administrator. I think that this needs to be done. I do think that, as many people said, we know the qualities from the last searches that we've had. They can use those qualities, they can reach out, and we can move on and go from there and get a decision made for the citizens of Aiden.
I'd like to hear from Commissioner Roberts, since she wasn't here at the last one. I wanted to know what your thoughts kind of were regarding that.
Well, as I understand it, we have a couple of choices. We can use GovTemps, an agency that Heather presented to us, and they will essentially, we pay them a fee, and they will place someone here within a matter of days. And they do all the vetting, they do all the stuff. We just have to pay them the certain fee. I can't remember about how much we pay them in the contract, how that works, if we work out the contract separately. So that's one option. So, you know, if we want someone as acting quickly, That's probably our quickest option. Is that the best option? Is that what I want? Honestly, I don't have a favorite option right now. I'm still listening, I'm still learning. Love, Nicole, what you said, man, I hadn't thought about that. Where are you? Right here. Great, I mean, great. Don, what you said, yep, totally agree. I'll answer. Becky, you said we had 85 applicants. We got to see 9? We never knew that there were 85 applicants that came through, or that would have been from Yo and Yo, you know, weeding them out. So GovTemps would be probably the quickest, maybe even the easiest way to get someone in. We have a list from MML that I've been looking at, researching some of the people on there. Some certainly seem very qualified, would come in and probably do a fine job. We had Rick Haberman come in, and he was here for nearly a year. And does he know, do these people know, you know, about Adrian? No, not necessarily. I think, you know, are they quick studies? Probably. Then we have Commissioner Banky, who obviously knows what's going on in the city and what are the things we need to work on. Saying all of that, man, from what I understand and what I hear, I don't want to drag this out. I would like this to be done as quickly as possible because it is an acting position, and it's generally for an open amount of time that you and that person agree upon. With Will Sadler's contract, it was 6 months, and we could do that also with whoever we decide, however we want to go with acting. I agree also, I'm not sure who said it, I apologize, I meant to write down everything. It is our job. It is our job to make this decision. Yeah, and I asked the same thing. Why are we having this special meeting? And I understand wanting to hear from the residents, but it's our job. That's what you guys elected us for, to make these decisions. And I have said over and over again, I love the city of Adrian. We raised our children here. We chose to stay here. We're retiring here. We're not going anywhere. Our children live here, 2 of them. Where was I going with that statement? Don't remember now. But we want to do what's best for the residents, because that's me, that's my daughter, that's my son, it's all of you, and many in the audience I count as good friends. So this is a tough decision to make. It really is. Which way is going to be the best way to go? Yeah, it's tough. I think that there's, you know, there are positives and negatives for all 3 different options. But for me, I think that the options that are the quickest, because we need to move forward, and some things are, although, you know, we've had an acting in place, he's doing 2 jobs, and some things just need to get worked on, like the strategic plan, especially for the parks and the city. There are things that just need to get done. And so we need a city administrator this week. As far as I'm concerned, didn't know we couldn't, you know, make motions tonight. Even like, we can't even make a motion to say go with GovTemps or anything, really? Or whatever? Huh. I was not aware of that. So that's unfortunate. That means that we're not going to make a decision tonight. That means we can't do anything until next week. That means another
Although
week.
we could do it like we do the, when we have discussion items and we say that on the next agenda, we want this on there, that's not a motion, we've
No,
done that
yeah.
before, so that is the way we could go.
Yeah, yeah. And as it relates to Mr. Banky, Commissioner Banky, I'm not exactly sure what I should be calling him with this, I applaud him for putting his name in the hat. I think that took some courage, and I'm not opposed to it. I know that might surprise some of you, but I'm not opposed to it. Is it the best option though? I don't know. I guess I'm waiting to hear and make a decision. Or not make a decision tonight.
So I spend every amount of free time that I have going and talking to residents, trying to speak to anyone who hasn't been spoken to, or anyone that I can find that wants to talk about the city. And that's something that I only have so much time for. So I don't mind having these special meetings. Having any amount of extra input is always a good thing in my mind. So I want to talk about the input that I received. So as far as community feedback from residents via email, I didn't receive, I don't believe any, from residents wishing to move forward with a specific agency as a temp or as a search firm. Specifically, they didn't, say for or against it. They just didn't mention it. I received 7 in support of Commissioner Banky, 3 calls, and then the comment tonight. And I received none against Commissioner Banky, and received no phone calls against. And then the comments tonight would reflect those counted against. But that's what I received. In discussions with people that I spoke to around downtown and a little bit out of downtown, I can only walk so far, have been residents. I've had 10 conversations with different areas and different people, and they were all in overwhelming support. I think that not only listening to the public comments that we get in general, outside of here, but also thinking about city staff and not having to bring somebody up to speed in everything that the city does and every decision that we've made the past X amount of years. It seemed like that was a big point from the emails that I received, and a big point from the discussions that I've had. That really spoke to me, and as well as us not having to catch a new interim up to speed. As this is just an interim position, we wouldn't want that person to spend half of their interim being caught up. They could just sit, do the work. They already know all of the history behind it, and go from there. I would be in support of Commissioner Banky trying to take on that role. Also, though, I guess there is one of the conversations I had brought up that there was a option that the MML could assist the city and the administrator with that process, as far as as soon as that person would start, they can come in and kind of guide the administrator and the commission in the roles and everything that we should and shouldn't be doing, getting the strategic plan up in place, things like that. Anything that we haven't been able to do in the last year or whatnot, or any cracks that we've had, they would be able to kind of help us fill them in and really get moving quickly. I think complementing whoever the candidate is, but specifically if we did move forward with Commissioner Banky, we could just shoot off, get a lot of things finished and finalized and move on from this. So those are my thoughts. That's what I received in the conduit.
As I think about the situation, being a former Adjutant General Officer, United States Army, Reserves, AG officer deals with personnel management issues, and we definitely have one at the City of Adrian. As I look at my military training, as I try to apply that to what's happening here, we do have a mess, a big mess. And I guess I want to state that if Commissioner Baugh wants to step into this arena, obviously he's entitled to do that. But being new on this commission, and I've talked to people that have come up to me, I've heard many stories to take them off the commission, put them on make them the acting city manager. I've been told by multiple sources that when he was elected, the acting city manager, Greg Elliott, said, watch him, he's going to take my job. And I confirmed that with some people on the commission. And I'm afraid these are issues that weren't being taken care of, like the HR handbooks not being done, the blight with 68% failure rate, or was it a question just not to have a dysfunction city because he become acting city manager? I don't know, because that was a concern of Greg Elliott. And so I'm afraid if this commission votes for him, that would be, to me, a possible inside coup. So I don't know, because how do we lead? Because is he one that could fix the problems? Maybe, I don't know. But are we going to find somebody from the outside to come in and want to work in Adrian? That's another issue I got to look at. So as I weigh this, we are in a big mess.
I know something that has, that also weighs on my mind is that we have a community pretty close by also looking for an interim city administrator right now with Celine also looking. And so candidates that we may be looking at, they are probably also looking at as well. So that is something to take into consideration. It doesn't mean we wouldn't get somebody over there, but we are going to be vying for some of the same people possibly, just because they are also looking right now. In the past, when we've done an interim city administrator, they have been, I mean, since I've been mayor, let me rephrase that, because we have brought in somebody before from outside, but they have been city employees that have been there a long time and really know it. And you know, Vince Emmerich had been interim several times before that, and really knew what he needed to do, and how to talk to everybody and how to keep things running. Will Sadler, also a long time employee and really understood everything. I've talked to Bob about this. I feel that Bob should interview. If Bob wants to do it, I think Bob should interview. He should interview against other candidates that we get, because Bob may be the best person, but Bob can prove that then. And then it holds more validity to our decision if Bob does that interview with other candidates. I don't think, though, that we should open it up to the whole world and wait 30 days and put all of that. I think that's too much. I know we talked about that, having an open search. I think, I know we don't want to rush it, but we also don't want to wait that long, because then that's a long time before we're doing the interviews and all of that. So I don't know if it's that We do some of the ones, that the MML, provided some of those names in, I don't know if it's that Heather reaches out and finds out who's even available, because we don't know, and we know Celine is also looking as well, so they might be looking there. Is it that we do GovTemp and we spend more money? I'm also concerned about that, especially with budget issues, so I tend to lean to the MML side of it, but I guess my feeling is really that we need to put it out. Whatever we decide, if it's GovTemp, if it's a search group, if it's, or a different search group, or if it's the MML candidates that are already on there that Heather could contact and we could get those interviews going pretty quickly. But I think Bob would do a good job, I really do. But I want to see that. I want him to interview against other candidates. I want to hear, because he hasn't been in that position, and it's different. We don't know. The city commissioners and myself, we're not in there all day, every day. We don't know everything about, running the city. And I'm not saying he couldn't do it and he couldn't step into that. That's not what I'm saying. But I think it would be really good to have, let's compare apples to apples, and not just make a decision. And also that, just like I said, it just puts validity to whatever decision we make. But that's where I'm thinking. I don't know how many of those MML candidates are even available, if any of them have been grabbed up, because the candidates that were given to us might have already found something else. They might not be available. I do know another thing to consider, though, in all of this is that Celine is looking at a 9-month contract. So, is somebody wanting a shorter, or are they wanting that, knowing that they could be in a 9-month, and we might be competing against that as well. So it's something to consider as we also look, that maybe we do have that in writing of what we want within a term length, to make that and specify that and have that ready to go, because, I know they have that out there. They have it out there, that they're not trying to compare, but I'm just trying to put reality on it. They have it out there on their length of time, the amount that they're paying, like the range of the salary is already out there, all of that's already out there. So, it's not just us looking, and we have to remember that as well, and we will be competing for candidates as well. But that's just where I feel that it's really good if we can get some interviews, and, and I feel that even what Heather presented, whether it was, the MML candidates, or even if we decided to spend the money and do GovTemp, that like all of these candidates, that pretty quickly we can get them interviewed. Like, it sounds like it could be within like 5 days, like it could be at the next meeting, like right before that, or however that looks. I don't think it's a drawn out process. I know we received at least one email of concern from a resident that didn't want it drawn out any longer, doesn't want to see this dragging on. But we also have to be very careful with that decision we make, because this is a big decision to make, and we can't just jump into it for sake of convenience, and we have to also keep that in mind.
I think that's what I was trying to say earlier. If Commissioner Benke wants to interview for the job, I think that's perfect. I think we let Heather find 2 candidates or 3 candidates, and then I think we have an interview, and I think if we need 2 interviews, we have 2 interviews. I don't think this needs to be a 3-week process. I think, we can have some of these set up by Monday's meeting, but I think it's our duty now to say, okay, we can take Chad's last salary, give that per diem as what we're going to pay. We can define, do we want 3 months, 6 months, 2 months, 1 month, and have those parameters so that Heather can go out and say, we're looking for a 6-month interim person. Commissioner Benke said he did not want that. He said, you have my word, I don't want to be the full-time. So let's get the ball rolling. Let's get the parameters out there. Let's get what we're going to pay them. Let's decide the time tonight and let Heather do her job, set up interviews and get it done. Whether she uses 1, both, or even a different one that we don't know about, but we get it out, and we get it started, and we get a decision made.
I do not hate the idea of doing 2 sets of interviews. I think I would prefer that we maybe look at the MML candidates, just so that we're not extending ourselves and accidentally dragging this out for longer than it needs to. I think we need to have a set deadline for us tonight when we walk away from here, when we need to have these interviews take place and when we want to have our interim appointed. I don't think interviews are a terrible idea. I'm not opposed to Commissioner Bankey, having his hat in the ring. I think he knows what's going on here, and he could do a swell job for us as interim. But I did appreciate the comments that were made tonight, that he wasn't elected to do that position. He was elected to sit up here, and that's not really a point of view I had heard in the last week, so I do appreciate that. And I just wanted to reiterate that we're not trying to waste your time tonight, that it's kind of an unusual circumstance to have a commissioner throw their hat into the ring for an interim position, and that we wanted to have feedback on that, because again, these are unusual circumstances. So I appreciate all of you who have come and given us your thoughts and opinions, and who have emailed throughout the week. But that is kind of my 2 cents. I would like to see us have a set deadline by the time that we leave here tonight. When are we going to host interviews, if that's the direction that we'd like to go? Where are we going to draw these candidates from? I don't think personally that we should extend the search. I think we should take the candidates that are willing already, that we know, who may or may not be available, but that's something that Heather could reach out for us. And get a pool of candidates, get them in here to interview, do a second set of interviews with the ones that we like the most, and then go from there. And I also appreciated Commissioner Cheshire's suggestion that we have the MML help us with process and structure, and I think that's something that would really benefit the commission and City Hall as a whole, is if we have that kind of guideline and take us back to basics. That way we're not just floundering out here. Obviously, this is not something that we want to be doing, is having to go through who's going to be the next interim, every couple of months, but that's the reality that we're in, which, makes me feel better that Celine also is having this issue. So it's not just us, guys. But that's my suggestion, is that we establish a timeline tonight before we leave.
And Fred, can I ask you a question? Are we allowed, I'm pretty sure we are, because it's not like a resolution where we could say, we'd like to proceed this way. Heather, can you reach out to MML? Can you get these interviews set? And we would like to have interviews by this date. It's not, we've done that before coming out of discussion, and it hasn't needed a resolution. Would we be allowed to do that tonight, because it's part of that discussion?
Yeah, I have no problem with that, just as long as we're not making a decision on the candidate himself, or herself, or itself nowadays. But yes, as long as we're not making a decision regarding the candidate, I have no problem with establishing a path going forward, as it were.
Okay, thank you. And Heather, sorry to put you on the spot, but is this something, do you know, when you talk to MML, I know that list was on MME, but do you know, is this something that could happen, that you could reach out and ask who's available, and that we could possibly be interviewing by next Monday? Is that a reality?
Yeah, it would really just depend on their availability. I'm certain that if you're on that list, you're probably waiting for phone calls. So I would imagine I could hear back regarding availability very quickly, within a day or two. So if you're interested in doing interviews next Monday, I can certainly ask if that's the direction.
I would support that.
What time do you think? Since our regular meeting's at 6 p.m.
I'm available all Monday.
Well, I really think it depends on how many we want to decide. I know Commissioner Short said 1 or 2, correct, if I remember correctly. So are we sticking with 2 from MML, and who's going to decide those 2? And then we just back it up from there. So we go at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, but it's going to depend on, are we interviewing, I think right now there's 8, 9 on that list, or there were when.
Yeah, do you know how many? I forgot.
Yeah, there's 9 on the list.
9, okay. We don't want interview all of them. And they may not all be interested or available anymore. We did get the resumes. Maybe a route would be, we all take a look at the resumes tonight, and by tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., we've sent Heather our top 3 candidates we want to interview, and she reaches out to them, and then if they're all interested, then we go from there. If they're not, I guess we have to make other plans.
I just really think it's important we let them know what we're going to pay.
Oh, I agree. I totally agree. And the length of contract. I kind of like Celine's 9 months. That's something I hadn't heard of.
And I think they did that. I mean, I don't know that, but I didn't talk to them. But I think they did that, honestly, because look how hard it's been to get, you really need to take the time for that search for your permanent city administrator. And I think that they're realizing that even 6 months is a short amount of time when you're doing all the interviews, and they're really going to try to do their due diligence. And I mean, they're in a different situation a little bit with what's going on up there, but I think that that's why they did a longer time period, just so that things could settle and get a little more under control, and that gives them more time for that search. And I hadn't thought of that either until I knew that Celine was doing that.
So are we okay with 9 months? Can we check that off?
I would be okay with 9 months.
I know we can't make a vote or any of that
Unofficially.
unofficially.
Well, if Bob is recused from this meeting because of the discussion, aren't we technically a full commission tonight?
I asked them, but I guess not, because he hasn't come
Like
off the commission yet. Okay. Yes, because I did ask that question earlier.
And the salary, doesn't that depend on how many hours per week and how many days we want them to? So I guess we would have to make a decision. Do we want someone here full-time? Do we want someone here for 20 hours a week?
And Heather, can you speak to what's typical or like what you have seen out there?
Yeah, most places do an annual salary. Obviously, that's broken down by the number of months that they're here. But typically, you would just choose an annual salary, and that would be broken down. And there would be no overtime expectation, so you could set a range of hours to be your expectation for the number of hours that they work, but you would pay them on a salary. So, no hourly rate, no overtime, that kind of thing.
And is the salary generally based on what we would have paid someone we actually hired? I don't know if actual is the right word to use, but is that what the salary is? Is that what the...
Well, we've only had one interim person that wasn't an internal employee, and we did use the same salary number that we used for administrator, so I would say yes.
I would support whatever we were paying, the salary that we were paying Chad. I mean, we want them to do a good job, and we want them to be full-time, I'm assuming. I want them to be full-time, I want them to do a good job. 9 months is okay with me.
Do you also know, like, typically, possibly, I know you don't, it's only happened one time before, but like what hours, like, are we gonna lose some candidates anyways by saying that we want it 40 hours a week?
Well, they all listed on their application.
I know, but I didn't know if that would change just because.
There were only a handful that listed something less than full-time.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be the expectation for most, that they would come in and work a full-time job. Most places will fashion a contract that says something along the lines of 24 to 40 hours, depending on the need. So you could have whatever you wanted in the contract, but I think 40 hours is the norm.
Would we be providing benefits for those candidates too?
We have not in the past, because the only time we did it since in the 20 years I've been here, we contracted that person out. So it was an independent contractor, and we did not provide benefits.
So if we went through, if we ended up taking one of the candidates from this MML pool, would that still be considered under that independent contractor, or is that going to fall on us for benefits?
No, you could hire them as an independent contractor, yes.
Okay. Which would also be the case if it was Commissioner Banky as well, correct?
I mean, that would be your decision, but yes.
Okay.
I think that we let Heather reach out and find out who would be interested with the parameters we set. Give us those names, and then we go back and review those, and then come up with the candidates that we choose to interview.
I agree, because, I mean, we don't know I don't really want to waste her time waiting for us to figure out, you know, like sending in, you know, who we think our top ones are, because we don't even, then all three of those might not be available. So that's where I'm leaning as well, and then we can go through from there.
Sure.
Are you saying that you want me to reach out and, let's say I give you the list in the next couple of days, did you still want me to try to get them in here for next Monday?
I think you let them know that that is what we're looking for. So if they are interested, they would be expected to interview next Monday.
Okay.
And if we decide to interview them, but our timeline is typically.
I mean, if you got like 6 of them back, 7 of them back saying they want to, yeah, we may have to, you know, take that time to go through that, obviously, and say who we want to interview.
With this,
I guess it's just finding out who's interested.
with this expectation as well, I want to impress upon the commission to be very, very good about checking your emails, and that when we do get this information, that is a very quick turnaround for us, and not sit on the emails, because if we want this to happen quickly, it sounds like it's going to depend on us also responding to Heather. So please respond to your emails.
I have a question, Mayor. Those people that are MML, have they been vetted?
The MML? No, they've not been vetted.
So I would suggest we do a drug test, a criminal background check, and have them provide financial statements to this commission.
Have they been background checked though to be on there? They haven't even been background checked?
No, on the MME site, it clearly states that they have a board, an ethics board, so the only thing they look into is whether there's any current outstanding ethics violations against the people on the list. But they do not conduct any background checks or anything further beyond that. To get your interested candidates drug tested and the things that you mentioned, that would be virtually impossible to do in a week's time.
But I think it's the right process.
Yeah, I just want to make it clear from an expectation standpoint.
I am not in favor of that. Now, if we come to a point where we are interested in a candidate, yes, do a background check before we offer the position to that person. But my guess, and maybe I'd be wrong, is we wouldn't get anyone interested in applying if we made that criteria ahead of time. We're certainly not going to get it done by Monday, but that's my opinion.
My opinion is we get names, look them up on Google. Pretty simple.
Yep.
But, and I agree with Commissioner Roberts. I think once you get to that stage, if that's what we're going to do is go with one of those candidates, then I think you do the background check and you do cross all your T's and dot all your I's at that point and make sure before we offer that contract.
Another hesitation I have with the drug test is that people may have some issues with health that are in drugs. Not in drugs, well, that was bad. Some people that are getting medicated with drugs that would show up positive on that test and disqualify them when they have absolutely a legitimate reason to be taking that medication.
Well, of course, that would be normal, but if you also want to try it out, you got someone who's a cocaine user too, and that, letting people know about that.
So are we, I mean, I know I can't take a vote, but it sounds like we're all good with having Heather. pursue this. And Heather, are you okay with also reaching out to Commissioner Banky to see if he is still interested in pursuing with going ahead with the interview as well?
Yes,
Because I feel it should come from you, not us, for that reason.
yes.
Thank you.
Is there, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Is there an expectation that I would also be preparing interview questions for you or determining the schedule by which you'll be following the interview schedule for next Monday?
I think the interview schedule is just gonna depend on how many we have. Is this something that we could, I'm asking the commission, not you, Heather, sorry. Is this something that if we had quite a few, like let's say we had 4 candidates that we really thought, is it something we could start at 4 o'clock or is that an issue for anybody up here? Comfort.
I won't be here the next meeting on Monday.
That's right, you did tell me that. I'm sorry, Commissioner Moore, I forgot. Oh, I forgot about that.
When are you back?
20th.
Do we have to have a special meeting on Mondays, or is that just like what's more convenient?
Well, our regular meeting's next Monday. That's
Oh,
what we were saying
right,
that,
yeah.
sorry.
No, we can
No,
have,
we
we
can
can
do
have
it.
special meetings at
Yeah.
any day and time. And
Yeah.
there have been times in the past where we met at 8 o'clock in the morning with a special meeting, and it lasted like 8 minutes.
So I'll be available on the 20th or 21st for a special meeting. That's the following week, so.
I mean, that might be a little bit easier for Heather to get people to actually respond and whatnot by that point. If we do it on the 21st, it's a Friday.
I know that Commissioner Banky will be out of town on the 21st. He emailed us
That's right, I
tonight.
forgot. I knew that date sounded familiar, there you go.
Okay, then the 20th.
Yes, he emailed us tonight about being out of town and not available.
What about the 20th?
I don't remember if that's what his email said.
I thought,
Let me go back and look.
I don't have it here, so.
Are you two
He's
available on the
gone.
20th?
The 21st through the 24th.
Yeah, I was thinking it wasn't the 20th, that didn't sound familiar.
Have to be late afternoon though on the 20th for me.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Does that work for everybody if we did like a 4 o'clock on? Or do you need it later, Commissioner Moore?
4 or 5 o'clock's fine.
I can make it work.
I can do it.
I'm good.
All right, so can we look, Heather, at Thursday, the 20th at 4 o'clock?
For interviews then?
For interviews, yes.
Yes.
And that'll give us more time when you send them to us, and then we can get back to you, and then it gives them time to plan for these interviews. So maybe it works to our advantage that not everybody can be at the meeting next Monday.
So does that mean when we pick the interviewers, we're not going to do any background checks, criminal checks, or drug tests, or financial back checks until after we interview them?
Correct.
I'm gonna do mine before.
Right, yeah. Yep.
Heather, is there anything else that you need from us as a commission, like guidance or any other questions that you might have? Any vagueness that we've provided that we need to be more detailed on?
Yeah, because you're our HR expert. We are not HR experts.
I want to make sure that what you want from me in terms of preparation for the interview day. Have you thought about the questions that you want to ask?
Oh, yeah.
Would you
Oh, yeah.
want any assistance with that? How long do you want the interviews to be, each of them?
I think it's important that you have a huge part in creating the interview questions, just so that we're not asking questions that shouldn't be asked, as can sometimes happen. So if we would like, I mean, we have all the questions from last time. I guess for me, if we are okay with Heather creating the questions, or we send specific questions to her, she can put that together and make sure that they meet all laws to ask those specific questions for everyone.
And I'm thinking, I think we had 30 minutes and then we had a break in between. Isn't that what we did? 45?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot. I've done other interviews.
As interim, though, I think 30 minutes is okay.
Yeah.
I agree, I think 30 minutes is long enough.
That's where I was leaning. Okay. So I would say if you did 30 and then you just put some time in between just in case it runs over and so that they can walk out and the next person can come in.
Okay, so recap, we're asking Heather to make the questions and to create the schedule and to reach them out to them, correct?
Well, we can send her questions if we
Okay,
have
yes,
right.
specific ones we want.
Sure.
Can we set a deadline for those questions though, so that we're not,
Yeah, what would you like the deadline to be? If the interviews are Thursday, August 20th.
this Friday? And perhaps only 2 or 3 per commissioner?
I mean, maybe by the end of this week would be,
So Friday.
yeah, I would say.
All right.
Just one more question for clarification. And if we have 2 candidates, we're willing to have an interview within a day or 2 after that, if they want to come back.
Yep.
So if we have 2 candidates that are very close,
Yes.
very good, we could say, we want you to come back. They choose not to come back, they've withdrawn. If they're able to come back, then there's a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask for clarification also for the, let's say you had 5 people who were interested, you want me to set up those interviews or let them know they may be selected for an interview? Because I've heard both from.
I would say let them know they may be selected for an interview.
And did you want to have that maybe as a discussion topic for next Monday to narrow down and determine who you want to select?
Yes, that's great. Thank you.
Yes.
Great idea, Heather. Or it might have come from Michelle, but great idea over there. All right, are we good to move on? Okay. At this time, we will have public comment. This is general public comment. It doesn't even have to be something that was on the agenda tonight, but it can be. Just to reiterate, there's a 3-minute time limit, and for the record, please state your name and place of residence. We'll begin inside the chambers first. When we've exhausted all comment inside the chambers, we will then open it up to the Zoom participants.
Michelle Taylor, I live in Adrian. Yes, I'm wondering why you have human resources, Heather. Definitely, she seems very capable. Why you're micromanaging her? You have 5 candidates, and interview them all, but the first requirement, absolutely vet them. If they cannot give you your financials, if they can't pass a drug test, if they can't pass the background, don't waste our time. Also, why are you wasting the time with the interim when you've got 5 possible candidates and you can be selecting the full-time, permanent? Also, it was incorrect. I don't know if you guys ever not applied for a real job, but when you get drug tested on there, it asks for the medications that you are taking, so that if you are taking something like a painkiller or something, it is accounted for. The level is accounted for. So if you are doing crack, it will show up. But if you're eating poppy seeds in a muffin, they can distinguish between that. It would be at the level of your prescribed prescription your doctor gives you. So I say vet first and then give the interview. Don't micromanage your human resources. Let her do her job. You guys are muddying the waters. Don't be concerned with what Celine's doing. This town has a lot to offer. Back it, invest it in full-time commitment to a city administrator. First vet though. I mean, this doing it ass backwards is not going to pan out. It's going to continue to keep on going down again. Please, vet first, have the financials, the fingerprinting, the drug screen, and then offer the 5 interviews, not wishy-washy like, oh, maybe 1 or 2 or whatever. Let your human resources be the expert. Stop micromanaging her. Thank you.
Terry Collins, Scott Court, Adrian. I want you to bear in mind a few things. One, as it relates to the questions, you should focus your question on the fact that you're seeking an interim director, not a full-time, administrator. So that has to be your focus. Secondly, I agree with what several of you said, that Commissioner Benke has all the right in the world to throw his hat in the ring. However, if he does, He cannot be a member of the committee that makes the selection as to who is and is not the selected individual. That creates a clear problem. There'll be 6 of you then. You could die on a 3-3 vote any time there.
Barney Davies, City of Adrian. First of all, I would just, this might not be popular for some people in the room, but I would congratulate you on making the decision not to hire the city administrator on the first group of 5 that you had if it wasn't the right person. Because it's okay to start over and look again for the right person. So congratulations on doing that. I know that's very hard to do. As a senior VP of HR for 19 years, I get it. I will say, good luck, Heather. I got speed. Rely on her because she does have a lot of knowledge, right? And she can do the pre-screens. And the vetting usually comes at the end before the offer is made, and the offer is contingent on somebody passing all of that information. So right now, we've just got to get candidates in front of you that you can speak to. And I think that Heather can do a good job with that. So thank you. Hello, Nicole Hernandez, City of Adrian. I am just curious to know how you are going to fill the slot that if by chance he does become interim city administrator, is this going to be another position that was given to by the voters but chosen by the commission? Because that is not fair. So there needs to be a slot. You guys, you did it with Mary Roberts. And sorry, Mary, I hate to throw you under the bus, but that's exactly how she got her spot. That's fine that she got voted in past that, but she did not get voted in initially. So she's not a representative. The first year she was here, she wasn't representing anyone. She was representing the commission that chose her. So I feel like until you have some type of way to fill his slot via the voters, it shouldn't be the commission's decision to sit here and, oh, he'd make a great city interim admin, all of you, the majority of you. But then in turn go, well, and we probably have a really good candidate that we're going to stick in that slot. So you can't do that. It's got to be fair. So you're going to have to give voters a chance to either vote someone else in because he's already gone. If you're going to interview him, he's gone, which means we're at a 6-person commission, like Terry said. Anything can go wrong with that. So we can't leave the commission short-staffed because we don't want to train someone for a couple of months to be city interim. This is a job. These people have stuck their name on a list because they want to do the job. I mean, unless the city is just so dysfunctional that we're not going to ever be able to put anybody in this position because there's a whole crowd of trash behind him that he's not going to be able to sort through, that makes 0 sense. I think at the end of the day, we need to have a process to fill this slot before we start pulling people off the commission because the voters voted for it. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Mayor, does the charter state how we replace?
Yes, it is set in place that it's an appointment by the commission. That's why Nicole is saying that, because she knows that. It happened with Commissioner Castleberry as well a few years ago. Then Commissioner Castleberry was voted in after that, but the same exact thing happened. That's been since I've been mayor that also occurred. And I know that was put in place because there was confusion of how that slot got filled, correct, Mary?
I believe when we made the change, it was how quickly we had to have it done. There was a discussion on when it was done, because we went for about a year with only 6.
Public comment right now?
Yes, but we were commenting back to that comment. We're going to get to you in 1 second. Your time's not going, I promise. All right, you can go ahead, thanks.
I'm Mark Bars. I live in the city of Adrian on Dean Street. We had 5 members here already once to be full-time city administrator. Why didn't we vote one of them in? No, because you, and you want Benke in that chair. That's the only reason why. I can tell you that right now. That's the truth.
my name's Amory Taylor. I'm a City of Adrian resident. Thinking of questions and just listening to what I heard from people here in the commission, when thinking of questions for the interim, some of the things that you wanted to accomplish, we talked about strategic planning, so I think maybe that should be a focus. Additionally, making sure that you have set expectations and they know what those are, and then they know regarding staff morale and things like that. I think those are highlights because we know this is a short term that they're going to be here. So I think it would be great if we have questions about that. And, you know, we know problem solving, financial skills, strong leadership skills. All these people have had similar jobs, so I would anticipate they have those, but I want to highlight those. I think Commissioner Banky would do a good job, but I also think that there are benefits of having an outsider come in into the city and getting somebody's different perspective. I do think that's important. They know that it's a temporary role, and that's what, you know, they're here for. So, but, you know, Bob's a mentor to me. I would fully support it. I think he can do it, but I did just want to share, I think an outsider could have a good perspective. I do want to ask other commissioners to comment on Commissioner Moore's conspiracy theory about giving Banky this administrator role. I hope that we could condemn his comments and you know, let him know that that's not the situation, because it's starting a conspiracy theory. So I would appreciate if other commissioners could comment on that in your public comments. Thank you so much.
At this time, we will open it up to the Zoom participants.
Carrie Smith, City of Adrian. I just had a couple of questions, and I think things were moving kind of fast for me to write everything down. But when you were discussing pay, so I'm hoping these things can be answered in commissioner comments, because I'm truly curious. So when you talked about commissioner pay and wanting to pay what Chad was paying, would that be based on a full-time only, or would it still be that pay while they're in the position, even if they're working part-time hours? So if that was discussed, I missed it somewhere in the overlap there. The other question that I had was just regarding the beginning of the meeting when they said we couldn't vote during this special meeting. I was confused because what makes this different? I mean, there's been special meetings where a vote's taken place before motions, even with one commissioner absent. So if Bob recusing himself, is it because he's recused? I mean, how would you be able to approve an agenda if that applied? So again, I'm not an attorney. I'm just trying to understand here because things were going a little quick there. But I think that was it. And I just wondered too, the one last thing. So if this contract would be 6 to 9 months, then by my math, we're looking at having this permanent city administrator seat vacant for almost an entire year. And I just, again, the city charter states 90 days. And so to me, although we can maybe get around that by hiring an interim city administrator, the fact that the city charter outlines 90 days as the timeline to replace the city administrator, it does communicate a sense of urgency as to how important this position is. And it should be a high priority to fill it. And so I know we've got water going on. I know we've got, this position that needs to be filled. I have confidence that we can do two things at once. I just think, again, 9 months, it's just allowing more time to pass. And so let's say, how long does it take to fill Bob's seat if you hire Bob? Are we going to delay that decision on an appointment of a commissioner until we roll into the election? I mean, at some point, people start campaigning when. I just think we really need to look at the timelines before we, I guess, anything's voted on. Thank you.
Steve from Adrian. I just wanted to make a statement that I don't know Bob, and I'm fairly new here, but I cannot support anybody that would be appointing him as an interim or otherwise. He owes a debt to the people who voted him in there to serve out his term and do what he agreed to do if he were appointed or elected to that position as commissioner. And if the commissioner that does fill in for him is appointed, well, then you've got a lopsided, that's how they stack decks. You know, there's 3 and 3, and then the fourth one's going to be the swing vote there. And it shouldn't be that. If it were a voted position and replacing the commissioner that way, I might consider doing it. But I'm more in favor of getting the new blood in here. I just moved here and I've heard about water for 10 years has been bad, all this other stuff's been bad, and I believe Bob has already been involved in the politics here and hasn't moved forward on, or that I've been made aware of any of the concerns of the citizens like that. I would hope if he were somehow appointed and it was able to work out for him that he would show a little bit more activity. Being proactive and being aggressive and addressing the wants and the needs of the people and the citizens of Adrian that have put in there, as well as rather than just being a person to fit comfortably in a position and keep the status quo and keep things the way they are and don't rock the boat. I know how it's done, and you know, we'll just keep on with business as usual. I would like to see change moving forward. I don't want to keep stepping back on this. I'd like to see somebody get in there with some fresh ideas, fresh eyes, fresh ears, and be able to handle the job. So I'm just registering. You got 2 no votes here, Aaron, if that's what you're looking for on that. Unless his position can be vacated completely and another elected official can be put in his spot, I've got to disagree with that wholeheartedly. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tim, and I'm from Clayton. There's just a few questions that I had. First of all, I just wanted to say, hey, thank you for not hiring in that first round if you weren't confident in the particular candidates. Thank you for standing your ground on that one. I do agree on that. The question that I really am wondering about is, are there any key decisions that are off limits for interim positions? The reason why I ask that question is because if there are very significant things that need to happen, is this interim position something that they can, make key decisions on, and should that be reserved for the future candidate, not the interim candidate? I don't think that has been really spelled out well, and I think that would be something to consider. And that's where I'll just end my comments.
Hearing no more public comment, we're going to move on to commissioner comments. I just want to respond to Carrie's questions. That administrator pay, yes, that would be for full-time only. That's what we discussed. And the reason we were not able to vote according to legal counsel is because we didn't have it listed on here. You could vote at a special meeting if you already have like a resolution that's listed on here, which we've done a lot of votes at special meetings, but it had to be something that was already on the agenda in order to vote on that at a special meeting. So that's what was pointed out to me from legal counsel today. Also, the 90 days to replace the city administrator, this is my understanding from when I asked that question before when other people brought it up, is that just means we can't go without anybody in that seat for 90 days. They can be acting, and there's no limit on that, but because they are the city administrator, if they're the acting city administrator, we just can't have this seat vacant without an acting or permanent. It doesn't really matter when you look at it that way. It's just it can't be completely empty for 90 days. That's the understanding that I had, because I had asked that question a while back as well. I do want to also just say that my one big concern has been, and still weighing on my mind, is exactly what has been brought up tonight, and the empty commissioner seat. And I never really thought about it. I did, but it came into a clearer perspective tonight. I did think about how, oh no, now we're going to have to go through this appointing process if that seat is empty. And I know it's been set like that for a long time, and I do believe it's because it's an appointment. If that seat does become empty, it's an appointment because, and city clerk could correct me if I'm wrong, but you have to have ballot language in way ahead of an election. And a special election costs thousands upon thousands of dollars to hold. It's very expensive, like $20,000 to do a special election. Okay, I was correct. I was just making sure. And I think you have to have that ballot language in like 4 or 5 months. It's way, I think for the November election, anything had to be in already for ballot language now, correct? Tomorrow. So yes. So that is why when I had asked that question when I first came on as mayor, I asked that question, why is it set up this way? And that's what it was explained to me, because you do have to have it on there so far ahead of an election, and a special election does cost quite a bit of money. That's taxpayer money that you don't want to be spending on a special election, but that's the reasoning why. But is that the perfect process? No. I understand that, and especially because people have voted, somebody into that seat, because we've had people leave in the past that have stepped down. It could be for a myriad of reasons. It's not even just for this. It's happened. It's happened since I've been mayor, and that appointment process, you're right, it's not the public that's voting on that person. It is the commission. So I do hear your concerns. I understand that. I have that concern myself as well. I've never been really thrilled with us appointing somebody on this commission, no matter what the circumstances were, but I understand the reasoning behind it and why we do it, but I don't think it's perfect. All right, anything else?
Yes. So, what at the beginning of the meeting, Commissioner Moore had said that some things weren't getting taken care of in City Hall, and you assumed that they had something to do with Commissioner Banky being elected. Was that a summary of it? I don't remember exactly what you said.
No, beginning of the meeting?
Yeah, your comments at the beginning of the meeting about...
All I was commenting was that during the note by rule, commissioners may not respond to public comment.
No, sorry, after that, when we started the discussion, and then your first comments about Commissioner Banky and your reserves with him.
What you said
regarding Greg Elliott and some other...
Well, I had a discussion with the mayor about it, and she confirmed it.
I just confirmed that there was a rumor going around. Yes, that's what I confirmed. There was rumors when he was running that, because Commissioner Moore asked me if I had heard that rumor, and then I did say, yes, I heard it, but if that was true, then when Greg Elliott left, how many months ago, that Bob would have put his hat in, and then we had an interim, and Bob still didn't put his hat in, and then we hired somebody, and Bob still didn't put his hat in. So to me, that was false, but that was a rumor that was going around when he first was coming on, there was definitely that rumor, but he definitely proved it wrong because he's had many opportunities to throw his hat into the ring and has not done that until now.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that any rumors or gossip or whatnot were addressed as soon as possible. Thank you.
I owe Commissioner Zeig and Commissioner Chesser an apology because when I spoke about last time about owing an allegiance or an alliance or having a preference with Commissioner Banky, I wasn't questioning your character. I was just stating the fact that he had supported you, and I think that needed to be known. So I just want to make that, I wasn't accusing you of anything, I was just making it known so that everybody knew what was going on.
I appreciate the clarification, thank you.
Accepted.
I would like to make a statement regarding why we're in this mess, and I'm not blaming Commissioner Banky for this. This has been a long-term problem this commission has faced, and I'm going to read my statement. A city commission still operating under a personal manual, last revised in November 1986, is running on institutional autopilot. 40 years is not a minor leg. Employment law, workplace norms, technology, liability exposure, and basic management practice have all changed substantially since then. Continuing to treat that document as the governing reference signals several things at once. Administrative neglect. Updating an employee handbook is not glorious work, but it is basic housekeeping. Leaving it untouched for decades usually means no one in the administrative structure has treated internal policy as a priority. Cultural inertia. Organizations that do not refresh core operating documents tend to resist other forms of modernization as well. The handbook becomes a quiet indicator how the institution actually behaves when no crisis forces action. Risk accumulation. A 1986 framework predates major federal and state developments in disability, leave, harassment, at-will clarification, electronic communications, social media, remote work, and a host of other areas. Even if individual practices have evolved informally, the formal policy base remains outdated and potentially inconsistent with current law. Signals to employees and managers. When the official rulebook is a relic, it tells staff that consistency, clarity, and accountability are optional. That weakens management authority and invites selective enforcement or informal workarounds. In short, it is the organizational equivalent of still using a 1986 city map while the roads, traffic patterns, and legal rules have all changed. The map may have been adequate once. Continuing to rely on it decades later is not a sign of stability. It is a sign that no one has been steering the ship.
May I get a motion, or do one? Oh, may I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Support.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.